Write an expression that represents the area of a rectangle whose width of the triangle is 2x minus 1 and whose length is represented by 2x squared minus 10x minus 8. Well, you all know the area of a rectangle is length times width, so we're multiplying these two together. So we're going to go ahead and draw a box. So take the first one or the second, doesn't even matter. One is going to be the height, so let's do this one as 2x minus 1. This one is 2x squared minus 10x minus 8. Leave little spaces between them so you can draw your box. And then you're multiplying it out. 2x times 2x squared. So 2 times 2 is 4. X times x squared, how many x's do I now have? 3. 2 times negative 10 is negative 20. X times x is 2 of them. 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. And then x times there's an invisible 1x, there's just x. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2, and there's just the x squared. Negative 1 times negative 10 is positive x, and there's just that 1x. Negative 1 times negative 8 is positive 8. Once you've multiplied your boxes out, you combine the diagonals. Make sure that they match, like 2, 2, x, x. Now I combine it, so I'm going to get 4x cubed. And then I've got negative meets negatives. What's going to happen? They're going to join and grow more negatives. So that's negative 22x squared. Negative meets positive. They're going to fight. Who's going to win? Negatives are going to win by how many? By 6. And just plus 8. And this is my area. And the area is the width times the length. So we're multiplying these two together. So set it up. Negative 2x minus 3. And the length is x squared minus 5x plus 5. Give yourself ample space so that you don't make...
Please release students visiting the Army STEM virtual reality truck at this time. Please release the students visiting the Army STEM virtual reality truck at this time.
Give yourself ample space so that you don't make mistakes, and then go ahead and draw your lines in. So now you're multiplying this times this, which is negative 2x cubed. Negative times negative 5 is positive 10, I'm sorry. And then how many x's do I have? 2 of them. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. And how many x's do I have? Just the 1. Negative 3 times invisible 1 will be negative 3. And how many x's total? Squared. Negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. And then how many x's total? Just the 1. Negative 3 times positive 5 will be negative 15. And then just combine the diagonals, but just make sure that they match. So they look exactly the same to combine them. So now you're going to have this one, which is negative 2x cubed. Combine these two is going to give me, positives are going to win by 7 because they're going to lose 3 people. So plus 7x squared. Here, who's going to win? Positive is going to win again because I have more people by 5. So plus 5. And then just the negative 15. All right, first thing you always do is do what? Draw my river. So you draw my river, okay? After you draw my river, you're going to get it in the parentheses, distribute it. So you're going to do that times that. That's going to give you 8 times 6 is negative 48. Negative 8 times positive 5n is going to give you negative, because a negative times a positive is a negative. 8 times 5 is 40n. And then just write this other side down. All right, I want to see boxes and circles. So boxes with the variables. Do not forget the symbols. Circles with the numbers. Okay, then you can move whichever side you want to move. I'm going to move this big number on this side. So I'm going to move to this side. I cross the river. What's going to happen? It's going to change from a negative 40 to a what? A positive 40n. If I move this to the other side, it's going to change from a negative 5 to a positive 5. Now you can see my box is on one side, my circle's on one side. So let's go ahead and combine them. I've got 40 plus 3, which is 43n, equals, I've got negative 48 plus 5. So negatives are going to win because they're going to fight. Negatives are going to win by how many? 43. Divide both sides by 43. You're going to get n is equal to negative 1. And if you really don't want to get this wrong, if you take a calculator and plug in negative 1 everywhere you see n, so right here, and remember anytime we're plugging in, just put it in parentheses, and you type that all in, it should be this side is equal to that side. All right, so first thing again that you do is you draw my river. Go ahead and distribute. So you've got negative times negative is positive. 8 times 8 is 64x. You've got negative times negative is positive. 8 times 6 is 48. Bring everything else down. Do not forget any signs. Then I want to see boxes and circles. So boxes with my variables. Do not forget the symbols in front of them. Circles with my numbers. Okay. And then you're going to move boxes to one side. So here's a box. I'm going to move it to this side. It's going to turn from negative 6x to positive 6x. And move the circle to the other side. It's going to turn from positive 48 to negative 48. Combine now because I have boxes here, circles here. So 64 plus 6 is going to give me 70x. Negatives are meeting negatives, so they're going to be more negatives, and they're going to be 0, 6, 7. Divide both sides by 70 because that has to get the x by itself. That crosses out. So x is equal to negative 1. Once again, if you plug in negative 1 everywhere you see x, you should get this side is equal to this side. The formula for a perimeter of a rectangle is this. Solve the formula for W in terms of P and L. So I want W to be on one side. So let's find where W is right here. So solving literal equations is just like solving equations. First thing you do is my river. And I want to get this completely by itself. So what's on this side that shouldn't be here? I've got this 2L and I've got this 2 that's attached to W. Always do the attachment last. So let's move the 2L to the other side. So if I move this 2L to this side, what is it going to become? It's going to change from positive 2L to negative 2L. Okay. Now I'll have P minus 2L equals 2W. Okay, now how do I get W by itself? What's the operation between 2 and W? It's multiplication, right? So to get rid of that, I would divide it by 2, so it can cross out like that. So then I would divide this by 2. Then just rewrite in this, and I'm going to write W on this side. W equals P minus 2L over 2. Sometimes they want you to divide both things by that. So if I divide everything by this 2, I'd get P over 2 minus 2 divided by 2 would give me 1. So that would just give me L. So this or this would be correct, just depending on how they want to look at it. The formula for density, blah, 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 blah. Solve the formula for V. So I want V. So I've got D equals M divided by V. Okay, first you already know my rule. Anytime they are fractions, what do we have to do? Get rid of fractions. And how do you get rid of fractions again? You multiply by the denominator. So what's the denominator in this case? V. So we're going to multiply this by V and this by V. Multiply everything by the denominator. This is going to cross out with this, right? So this is going to leave VD equals M. Okay, now I'm going to read the question. So it's asking me to solve for V. So I need to get V by itself. So D is bothering the V, right? And what's the operation between V and D? Multiplication. So how do I get rid of that? I divide by what I'm trying to get rid of, which is D. So I divide everything by D. So I'm going to get V equals M over D. All right, I'm only going to do evaluate G of 2 plus H of 1. All right, so once again, remember, all you're doing is you're replacing the X with what's inside these parentheses. So where I see X, I'm going to put negative 3. So I could even just do it like this. Boom, negative 3. So it's 3 times negative 3 plus 4. So now there's no more X. So you punch that in a calculator. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9 plus 4. Negatives are winning by 5. Negative 5. Same thing here. You're taking this 2, you're putting it in there. So where I see an X, I'm now going to put in a 2 and cross out that X, but everything else stays the same. So I've got 2 squared, which is 4, times 2, which is 8, minus 4, which is 4. All right, so now we're just going to put those together. So you're going to find G of negative 1 first. So you're going to put negative 1 in place of this X. And you're going to put, so negative 1 there. Going to put this with H there. So this, instead of x, you're going to put 3. And then you just punch that in the calculator. You've got negative 1 squared, which is positive 1, times 2, which is 2, minus 4, which is negative 2, plus whatever you get for here. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 minus 2 is 13. And now you're adding the two things together. So you got negatives meeting positives. Positives are going to win because they have more people by 11. That means I need to find out what g of 2 is, whatever that is, and h of 1, whatever that is, and add these two together to get g of 2 plus h of 1. And all that means is, what do you usually see in here? You usually see an x, and you can see that the x is inside, right? So I'm going to go to the one that has g, which is this one. I'm going to write it out. And instead of writing down x, instead of x, what do I have here? 2. So that's what I'm going to put there. So 2, and I see an x. Anytime I see an x, I'm going to put in parentheses, and I'm going to put this instead. So I'm going to put 2, but everything else stays the same. And I'm just copying it down just like it is. Only thing I replaced is this x needs to have a 2. That's all. Okay? All right, h of 1, the same thing, only this time I'm replacing the x with 1, but I'm going to h, so I go to h, I write that exactly down. Anytime I'm replacing it, I need to put parentheses and copy everything else down. That's it. Okay, so now you just punch this whole thing in the calculator, but I'll do it by hand. 2 squared is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 minus 3 is, 8 minus 5 is 3. Okay, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 2 is equal to 4. So I'm adding these two up. So I'm taking whatever answer I got for g of 2, which is 3, whatever answer I got for h of 1, which is 4, and I'm adding. So my answer for g of 2 plus h of 1 is 7. Anytime you have a straight line, you know it is a linear equation. It's a linear function. So that's you're looking at y equals mx plus b. B is your y-intercept, and m is your slope. So that's what you're looking for. So always start at where's my y-intercept? So let's see, where does it cross, where does this line cross the y-axis? Right up here, so that's 360. So my y-intercept is positive 360. Now I'm bringing down this x. I need to find out whatever my slope is. Now what's my slope? Change in y over change in x, or rise over run. Okay, so find two corners. So listen, a corner, let's be clear. If these are my boxes in here, a corner is wherever the line goes through, like see right here, that's a corner. Is this a corner? No, that's not a corner. Is this a corner? Not yet. But right here, that's a corner. So you find 2 points. Okay, so there's a point right here. Okay, and then there's a point right here. And you're gonna rise and then run. So how much did I rise? So this went from 340 to 360. So I rose what? Positive 20. Then how much did I run this way? I run left, which is negative, because if you're going up, positive, down, negative, left, negative, right, positive. So I ran this way from 1 to 0. So I went negative 1. So my rise was positive 20 over my run, which was negative 1. All right, simplify that. So this is y equals. Simplify that, you're going to get negative 20x plus 360. Sales, write a function of modes of the same relation. So again, it's a straight line, so you need y equals mx plus b, your y-intercept, and rise and overrun. So where does it touch the y-axis? So here's a line. It crosses right here at 140. So this is 140, positive 140. And what is rise over run? So find 2 corners. Look, they've already labeled 2 corners for you. So boom, boom. Then do rise over run. How did I rise? I went positive. From 120 to 140 is 20. You can do 140 minus 120 will give you 20. Then I'm going to run this way, which is negative. And I'm running from 10 to 0. So how much did I run? 10. So my rise is positive 20. My run was negative 10. Simplify this. 20 divided by negative 10 is going to give me negative 2x plus 140. And it makes sense because I should get a negative because this line is going down. Charlotte is saving up to buy a new video game. She already has $50 and can save an additional $6 per week using the money after a school job. Write an equation represent the total amount she saved, y, from the number of weeks she's been saving. Okay, so they're telling you to write an equation, right? So remember, if I'm looking for y equals mx plus b, right, this is what I start with because that's my y-intercept, right? It's a thing that does not change, and this is what's changing. My rise over run, it keeps changing. So find my two numbers. She already has 50. Is that changing or is that what I started with? It's what I started with. So this is the y-intercept. She can save an additional $6 per week. So every week it's $6. That's what's changing. Every week it's $6. This is going to change, stay 50 no matter what. So that's got to be my slope. So this is my m. So just write it out. Y equals m, which is 6, x, and then what's my y-intercept? Plus 50. That's it. Part B. How much money has Shayla saved after 8 weeks? Remember, what's 8 weeks? Okay, the number of weeks she has been saving, x. So they're telling you that this x is now equal to 8. Write everything else down and just replace the x with an 8. And then work it out. 6 times 8 is 48. 48 plus 50 is 98. So she saved $98. Charlotte is saving up to buy a new video game. She already has 30. She already has. That's the thing that's not changing. She can save an additional $5 per week. So every week it's $5. Every week it's $5. So she has 30 already. So y equals mx plus b. Y equals m. You're changing. Your change in y over your change in x. So how is that changing? $5 per week. So that's going to be 5, then x. And then your b is what you start off with. Okay? Your y-intercept. So she already has $30. So that's the y-intercept. So that's the equation. Now we can answer the question. How much money has she saved after 12 weeks? All right. So remember, this is always your y is always going to be your total. All right. So like how much money you make, and your x is always going to be things like time, and that's exactly what this is. So 12 weeks. So that means this x is going to be 12. Bring everything else down. All you're doing is replacing the x with 12 and then plug that in the calculator. So y equals 5 times 12, which is 60, plus 30, which is 90. So she saved $90. It's a straight line, so it's going to be y mx plus b. Now, the only reason I didn't put equals is because it's an inequality. In an inequality, you're going to look at this, or you're going to look at that or that. Okay, so I'm going to first get my equation, and then we're going to talk about which way the inequality is. So my equation starts with b. So where is that b? Right here. So you write that down. My plus 1. Bring everything else down. Rise over run. So let's pick 2 points, and you can see a point here. I'm going to rise how many? From 0 to 1 is plus 1. And then I'm going to run this way, which is negative. From 1 to 0 is negative 1. So rise over run is positive 1 over negative 1. Oh, don't put the equal sign because there's nothing there. Simplify this. You're going to get y equals positive 1 divided by negative 1 is negative x plus 1. All right, so I've got in my equation of my line. I just now need to figure out what's shaded. Is it open, closed, and all that information. So remember, a dotted line, okay, will be the one without the equal sign. A solid line will be the one with the equal. So is this dotted or solid? It's solid, so it's one of these two, right? Now you need to decide whether it's greater or smaller. So remember, you're either going to the top of y or the bottom of y. Which part is shaded, top or bottom? Top, okay? So if it's top, in terms of y, is that big or small? If it's on the top, it's big. So which one is big? So remember, you're going from left to right. Which one is big? That one. So it's this. All right, write an equality for the graph below. Multiple choices, it's very easy to pick because I can see that this is solid, so it's not going to be this or this. And then it's below, it's underneath, so it should be less than, so it's going to be B because they're all the same. Pairs are the solutions to the system of equation. Listen, the solutions are where two lines are meeting. So where are they meeting? They're meeting right here. And where else do these two lines meet? Right there. So all you have to do is write those down. So this is negative 1, 3. So 1, negative 1, 3. And then this one is 3, negative 5. So remember, solutions, okay, of a system of equations is where the lines are intersecting. What order pair of the solutions the system below? So remember, again, solutions is where the two lines are intersecting. So it intersects right here and right here. So write down those solutions. It's negative 1, 5. Remember, by elimination, you need to eliminate one, which means you need to make the one of them the same but opposite. Can I make 2 become 9? No. Can I make 12 become 4? Yes. Actually, I'm going to go the other way. Can I make 4 become 12? Yes. By multiplying by what? What number times 4 will give me 12? 3. Now, the thing is, in order for them to eliminate, not only do they have to have the same number, but they have to be opposite signs. So instead of me multiplying by positive 3, in order to change that sign, I'm just going to multiply by negative. All right, so we're going to multiply that out. So I'm going to get negative 27x. Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12y equals, and you use a calculator. Negative times negative is positive. 22 times that is 66. Okay, copy this equation down. Okay, now I'm going to combine. Now you'll notice negative 12 plus 12 is going to go away. Don't assume it's going to go away. Make sure that you're doing the calculation to check. So now you have negative 27 plus 2. All right, so negatives are going to win by 25. Just use a calculator. 66 plus 84, 0 carry 1, 150. Divide both sides by negative 25. So I'm going to get x is equal to negative, because a positive and negative is a negative. 25 goes, how many quarters do you have in $1.50? That's really what that's asking. But again, use a calculator. So 6. Now that I have what x is, I'm going to pick whichever looks the easiest. Okay, whichever equation looks the easiest. This one has smaller numbers, so I'm going to pick that one. So it's going to be 9 times negative 6, and all I'm doing is replacing the x. So remember, replacing the x with the negative 6. Everything else stays the same. 4y equals negative 22. Draw my river. 9 times negative 6, so it's a negative 54 plus 4y equals negative 22. Take this to the other side, so it's going to go positive 54. So you're going to get 4y equals negative, and a positive is going to give you, they're going to fight. So positives are going to win, right? So positives are going to win by 32. Divide both sides by 4. Y is equal to 8. Now, you don't leave your answers like this. You have to write them out as a coordinate pair. So you're going to write negative 6 because x comes first and then y. Now, to check it, you plug it into both of them to see if it's a solution. Use elimination. So we're going to make them the same real quick. We can take this bottom one and multiply by what to get this? By 2. So that will give me, so I'll write down the top 10x plus 14y equals 68. Multiply everything here by 2. You're going to get negative 10x positive 4y equals negative 32. All right, eliminate 10 minus 10, that goes away. 14 plus 4 is 18y equals 68 minus 32, 6, 3. Okay, divide both sides by 18. Y is equal to 2. Now what you're going to do with that is you're going to plug it into whichever one looks easier. Okay, I don't like dealing with negatives, or rather I should say you don't like dealing with negatives, so you're going to plug it into this first one. So write it out, 10x plus 14, and instead of y, what am I putting? 2 equals 68. Draw my river. So 10x plus 14 times 2 is 28, 68. Bring this to the other side, negative 28. So 10x equals 0, 40 divided by 10. X is equal to 4. Oh, you really didn't see any of that. So again, write it out as a coordinate pair. So you're going to have x first, so that's 4, and y is 2. All right, solve using the substitution. So substitution means you take one thing and you plug it into the other. So you're looking for x equals or y equals. Here's x equals, so I'm going to take everything after the x equals, and wherever I see x, I'm putting this whole thing. So you see x right here. So here, put this. So it's going to go 9 and then parentheses, because remember anytime we're substituting, we'll put in parentheses, the whole thing here, 9y plus 8, and then close parentheses, and then write everything else out. Plus y equals 3, 1, 2. Okay, then work it out. All right, go ahead and distribute that. You're going to get negative 81y. 9 times 8, 72, plus y equals 3, 1, 2. Okay, look, boxes around my variables, circles around my numbers. Take my circles to one side, so that's going to be negative 72. So negative 81 plus 1 is negative 80y. 312 minus 72, so that's 0. 31 minus 7, 23, 24. And you're using a calculator, can I just say? Okay? They give you a calculator, you're using a calculator. All right, then divide both sides by negative 80. So you're going to get y equals negative, positive divided by negative, and then you're going to get 24 divided by 83. Again, use a calculator. So y is equal to 3. Plug it into the easiest looking one, which is probably this one. So now I'm going to write this out. Negative 9, I see y, which is what? Negative 3 plus 8 equals x. All right, so that's going to be positive 27 plus 8 equals x. 27 plus 8 is 35. So again, write it out as a coordinate pair, x first, so 35 and y negative 3. Again, look for x equals or y equals. I found y equals right here. All right, everywhere I see y, you're going to put this whole thing. So you write it out just like it is. I see y, so now I put this whole thing. Everything else stays the same. Then you're just going to work it out. So negative 2x, distribute that, positive 18x. 8 times 3, 8, 136. All right, boxes and circles. All right, take the circle to the other side, negative 24. Combine them. 18 minus 2 is 16x. And then more negatives, 0, carry 1, 5, 6, 1. Use a calculator. I don't want to see anyone do what I'm doing when you give your calculator. Divide by. Then go ahead and plug that in where you see x to find y. So y equals 6 times negative 10 plus 8. Y equals negative 60 plus 8. So y equals, negatives are winning by 52. So again, write down your answer in x and then y as coordinates. So you're going to get negative 10 and then negative 52. 2 people go to the movie theater and purchase refreshment for friends. Below spends a total of, so total, remember, circle my numbers. 4. 4 goes with what? Bags of popcorn and 14 drinks. Total, here's another total. On what? 9 bags of popcorn and what? 7 drinks. And then write them out. These are how many numbers? 6. So it's just as you see it. So we're going to do 4p. So if we did 4p plus 14d, equals my total, which is 141. Same thing for the other person. 9p plus 7d equals 133.50. Okay. All right. Elimination is by far the fastest way to do anything. How do I make, can I make this? No. Can I make this, or this? What do I need to multiply this by to get that? 2. All right, so I need to multiply by 2, but I need the signs to change because they're both positive right now, so I need to negative 2. All right, so then I'm going to write them both down. So I'm just copying down the first one. All right, now multiply everything by negative 2, so that's going to be negative 18p minus 14d equals negative 266, 267. Once again, you are going to do it in a calculator. 133.5 times negative 2. Boom. All right, now we're going to eliminate. So this goes away. 4p minus 18p is negative 14p. You are using a calculator because they're giving it to you. In fact, let me just use it. All right, negative 267 plus 141 is negative 126. Divide both sides by negative 14. P is equal to, divide by negative 14. P is equal to 9. So now I know P, okay? Plug it into the easiest looking one, which is probably the top one. So everywhere I see P, I'm going to put 9. So 4 I see P, so 9 plus 14D equals 141. 4 times 9, again, 4 times 9 in a calculator if they give it to you. 36 plus 14D equals 141. Take 36 to the other side, minus 36. So you're going to get 14D equals 141 in a calculator minus the, because they give it to me, 105. We can't see that. Divide by what? 14. So D is equal to 7.5, 750. Now, they usually ask you to write this out in a full sentence. So I'm just going to say it. Okay. If Penelope spends a total of this and Charlotte spends a total of that, determine and state the price of a drink to the nearest cent. Okay, so you need to read the question. So the price of a drink is $7.50. Okay, so read the question. All right, so these two are going to the movie theater, blah, blah, blah. It's total 10D, 12B, total 4. You're just finding the numbers. They're 6 numbers, so it's straightforward. You just write them down. So write them out. So I've got 10D plus 12P equals 183. And I've got 4D plus 6B equals 8550. All right, can I make this one this? No. This one this? Yes, I can. What do I need to multiply by? 2, and I need to also change the signs because they need to cancel, so negative 2. So I'm rewriting this out. I'm going to get 12D plus 12P equals 183. Multiplying by negative 2 everywhere with a calculator, so we don't make any mistakes. Negative 2 times 4. Negative 8D. Negative 2 times 6. Negative 12P.
Please release the students visiting the Army STEM virtual reality truck at this time. Please release the students visiting the Army STEM virtual reality truck at this time. Thank you.
Negative 2 times 8550 is negative 171. All right, so let's combine that. 10 minus 8, 2D. This goes away, but check it. 12 minus 12 to make sure you're good. 0. All right, 183 minus 171. Divide by 2. So D is equal to 12 divided by, in a calculator, 6. Okay, once you have one, you're going to use it to find the other. So which one looks easier? Probably actually it doesn't matter, but I'll use this one since it does have decimals. All right, so I have 10, then I have D, which is what? 6 plus 12P equals 183. That's going to give me 60 plus 12P equals 183. Take the 6 to the other side, negative 60. So you're going to get 12P equals 183 minus 60 is 123 divided by 12. P is equal to divided by 12. $10.25. Now, these are my two answers. Let's look at what the question was. State the price of the drink. Oh man, I didn't even have to do this part. So the drink is $6. That's it.